So the first thing we want to do always is zoom out and take a peek at the monthly. On the monthly, we can see here we're still one time framing higher. That's going to be the first kind of look, right? We're still basically monitoring this low right here, which is 50.63. So a pretty decent ways away as we're trading at 52.20 right now. The open would definitely be a spot that we want to monitor on the monthly, the 51.05 quarter. That could be a big level. You could see bounces from there, right? Mechanical buyers buying in at a level that's kind of been utilized more than once. Switching over to the weekly, there's an interesting thing here yesterday while I was kind of looking back at the chart. But you see the weekly, right? We kind of continue the one time frame. We talked about how this was like just barely, but we're still hitting this weekly trend. But if we take a peek at the SPX, you can see it was an inside week, right? And it's actually kind of had confirmed below a weekly trend on the SPX. So it's kind of interesting here that the futures are a little bit kind of, I think, overdone a little bit is what it's looking like. But we'll kind of see what plays out. I think it's definitely important to monitor these levels on the SPX, especially because of the contract change. It makes the adjustment a little bit weird. And so with with this, sometimes I'll look at the SPX, or you could use the SPY as well, which was also an inside week, right? A little bit wider, I guess, but an inside week nonetheless. So the future is a little bit, because of the price change, it's a little bit off, but you can get the gist of it from there. So yes. Then switching over to the daily, you can see we kind of get this almost kind of like a triple top, I guess you could call it. Where we have the opens, or the close, the opens, and the opens, like pretty much all in agreement, and that's like that 42.40 level. We traded at 42.46. If you back adjust it, it's like a little bit higher. Do what you need to do, but that's why I said use the SPX and the SPY to monitor those highs and lows. But we're actually one time framing lower here on the daily, and that's basically where the first sign of change comes from, is on the daily, right? And we get confirmation on the weekly, and then the monthly basically means like probably some bearish stuff has already happened. So let's jump over to the profile. I'm going to show you guys. Basically, I think it's a fairly easy look this week. Above this 18 level, 15 level, it's kind of bullish, I would say, and there's probably a decent chance that we trade up to this 42.3375. Now from there, I don't know, it would have to start breaking all-time highs, but that's a pretty bullish look, and this is where the COT BPOC is at as well. And so basically the 13th, 14th, and 15th, between these 3 days, even though the market went down, I guess the highest point of control is here. So probably a lot of selling, liquidation there, I imagine. But it's pretty straightforward. And then if the market fails to confirm above that 1518 level, then there's decent chance back to the 5200. And if there's no buyers on the 5200, which is basically where this thing took off at, 5204, 5200, basically the same number, then probably back down to that 5175. And if there's no support there, you're probably looking at a break of the low if sellers are for real, and that puts you down into the lower levels of more liquidation. But like I said, the first thing it has to do is really just kind of confirm this middle distribution that it came up to in the overnight, right? And so basically, the reason I'm saying that is because we got to remember that we're day trading. So yeah, we're getting this one time framing down. Well, we're gonna get a cessation for sure off of the open, but also even if we do kind of have this down bias, right? We're trading up on a gap. So, right, gap rule is definitely going to be in play, even though we're trading kind of back into this balance. And so I'm basically, just trying to say don't lose that perspective just because um, we had a couple down days in a row. And I think a lot of people have already kind of done that. I think every time the market gets down a little bit, and I was kind of out of it for a couple of days, but when I was looking on Twitter and stuff on Sunday, it seemed like everyone's like, "Oh, market's going to crash," because it had pulled back like 1.3% or something over the end of the week. And it's like, well, how much has it gone up? Right? So just try to maintain that perspective here. And it makes it a little bit easier here because we have pretty clear to see distributions, right? So the upside move is not going to be as profitable, but it is going to be, you know, kind of looking for that confirmation, that 15, 18 level, like I said. Um, it should be probably pretty fast, and then you're really just looking to take it to 33 above that. Who knows if a seller shows up or if the market liquidates, you got to be willing to just kind of jump out of there. Um, Below that, obviously, is going to be a caution zone because you have a gap here. So you got to remember intraday value is going to be forming higher unless there's some steam that gets back into yesterday's range, right? But if it can't fill the gap, you get kind of these down moves inside this gap, they become buyable, right? If we see some sellers get stuck, right, it looks like small business, you kind of get that buyable look back up there. But I think back inside yesterday's range starts to bring you back down to that settle from Friday where that volume was at. And that's kind of basically all I'm really looking for today. We've got maybe a chance for some big news to pop today or some big moves today because of the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. So maybe some people jump in some positions and get this thing going. But mainly, what I think we see today is just people making a decision, right? And that's on that gap. And I think if this gap to the bottom doesn't fill, it's really going to be kind of telling of what the market's thinking Powell's going to say. Yeah, other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan, and I'll catch you guys